This week on Not Another Movie Podcast... No, I forgot what I was going to say.
You've been hanging around me too long.
I know. This week on Not Another Movie Podcast, we've got a new front runner to play Cable in the Deadpool 2 sequel.
It looks like Batman might once again be receding into the shadows.
And we talk about this weird, wacky story about Wonder Woman's armpits. Welcome back to episode 8 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Shaun Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly. You were going to say not another teen movie then, weren't you?
I was close. Very close.
Yes.
I just want to start off by the week. Last week we spoke about our Matrix castings. And, You said to me, why don't you have Adam Sandler as...
No. I am not taking the rap for this.
You said you put Adam Sandler as Agent Smith, and I'm like, yep, sure, no worries, why not? Just as a throwaway comment. And then this week you posted our picks for the Matrix reboot, and I see you put Adam Sandler as my fucking pick for Agent Smith, and I got no votes.
No, you got some votes. But number one, I didn't say who picked which version. So for those who hadn't listened to the show and just saw the image, they didn't know who they were picking. And two, I remember distinctly, I would never bring up Adam Sandler for casting for anything.
I went back and listened to it.
Yeah.
You pitched it, and I'm like, yep, sure, why not? I
Really?
didn't mean that I would actually put him in there, because I only chose the 3 leads, and you go, oh, I've got Agent Smith. All right, no worries. He goes, well, why don't you pick Adam Sandler then? I'm like, yeah, sure, no worries, just throw him in there.
Wow, okay, I don't remember it that way. But if that's what happened, then I am a jerk.
Yeah.
But that's not what I remember.
There is a conspiracy here, so you got more votes throughout the week.
I was taking... bringing down DC, bringing down Sean Pierce. That's my MO.
That's right. No shit, no one was going to vote for the one that had Adam Sandler in it. So I feel a little ripped off this week, to be honest.
All right, I'll make it up to you in our next one.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're here to talk about all the movie news for the week, and let's start off with the trailer that dropped this week for the new Transformers, The Last Night.
Yeah.
Now, I was listening to you as you were watching this trailer, because you just watched it before, and there was a lot of moans and groans, so I'm actually guessing you didn't like it.
God, it really... It's like Michael Bay is parodying himself. This is the last one. It's like he's parodying himself at this point. There's an Australian Transformer now for some reason. Look, I'm all about female empowerment in films. I love it. And I'm not saying that, even though that sounds incredibly patronizing. I'm trying not to be patronizing. But like, to have a girl get up there in like this big budget film and say, do I fight like a girl? You're damn right I fight like a girl. It's so on the nose and naff, and just like, you don't have to do that. Just have an awesome female character. You don't... Oh, gosh, it was so annoying. And all the kids in it are so, like, Michael Bay cutesy. And it just... Oh, gosh, it gets me the wrong way. The only thing I don't like about Jurassic Park... I know it's not Michael Bay. But the only thing I don't like about Jurassic Park is the friggin' kid. And his quips and his ridiculousness.
Jurassic Park or Jurassic World?
Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I can't remember the kid in Jurassic World, but it's probably... I think it was the same on steroids, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And it seems like all of the kids in this film are like that. It's going to make me want to tear my ears off by the end. I don't know why it riles me up so much, but it just does.
Look, to be honest, I didn't mind the tone of this trailer. Now, I know there's no way that this film is going to be anything like the tone of that trailer, but I'm a little bit interested now.
Yeah, okay. It looked kind of a cool world.
As I said, little bit. You know, the reviews would have to be good for me to watch it. But as I said, it's kind of like the Pirates trailer that we saw a couple of weeks ago, where I trashed the first one, and all of a sudden this one looks a tiny bit better. Yeah, so maybe that's like this one. I don't know.
It's look, I probably won't see it, but I appreciate it's being made. I'm sure that there is an audience for this. Not every film is made for, cinema savants like you and I.
That's
But
right.
I'm glad that Michael Bay is leaving the
Well, I actually
series.
haven't even watched the last one, so much
No,
like
nor
the
have I.
Pirates films, I doubt I'll be going back to watch it to catch up on the story.
Even though I really like Marky Mark.
Yeah, but as I said, he's hit and miss. He does a lot of bad ones and he does a lot of good ones. And from what
Yeah.
I've heard, the Transformers one is a really bad one.
Oh, okay. All right. Good
All
to
right,
know.
well, let's kick in with the DC news of the week, and it wouldn't be a week without a Batman story that's come out of how bad production is at the moment and everything else. But this week we've got the news that the script is going to get a complete rewrite, a
And
page one rewrite.
this was news a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? But it's a new rewrite.
Yeah, well, this was before the new director jumped on board,
Yeah.
and they're saying he's got a vision for this and he wants to change the story, and it could end up being a page one rewrite. And
Yeah.
then further on this story,
He's like got two words for you: Batman and Robin. Make it happen.
nipples.
Nip- Bat nipples and bat credit cards. That's where we're going.
Yes. And then further on this story is that the actor who was cast to play Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello, is now uncertain that his character will even
Yeah.
be in the film.
That's look, and he doesn't know, but he's for the actor to come out and seem doubtful. That's pretty unfortunate because I think Deathstroke is a great villain for a Batman film, particularly if you're going down this reboot path.
Absolutely, and he would fit in nicely with hopefully an R-rated version that we've been talking about.
Yeah, exactly. My only question and you can correct me here in the lore, isn't Deathstroke older than Batman?
Yeah, he is. He's quite old.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that sort of got me about that casting.
Yeah, no,
Um,
he's this great old gentleman. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say gentleman, but yeah, he's a hell of a lot older.
Yeah, okay. I was reading a thing about him the other day, and he's got like armor that Superman's punches can't penetrate, and all this other crazy stuff. And I'm like, comics are crazy. I like comics, but sometimes it's just silly.
Yeah, you're like, come on, bring this back to the real world.
Yeah,
will you?
exactly. Just a little bit.
You
When
flying
Batman
alien.
karate, well, get out of the sky.
Yeah,
Take that cape off. When I've seen a comic where Batman ninja kicks a motorcycle in half, I'm like, okay, let's just settle down, guys. Let's just not get too crazy.
all right. Well,
But that's just
you want to hear crazy? I'm about to tell you
Yep.
something that is crazy.
Uh-oh.
This week came a story where someone on either Reddit or Twitter complained about the lack of accuracy from the new Wonder Woman trailer, and
yes.
and that had something to do with that Wonder Woman had shaved armpits. They're saying if a woman from that era, especially the World War One era, and being an Amazonian princess,
Yeah.
had bare armpits, it is not historically
She
accurate.
should have had flowing locks.
I agree. It should have been as long as the hair on her head.
Yeah.
But not only did they complain about the lack of hair, they've also taken still frames to show that her armpit area has been bleached and it's a lot more whiter than her usual body skin color.
Gosh. And you know what? They're probably right. They do a lot of digital touch-ups on people, but this guy has spent a lot of time watching this trailer.
That is way too much detail, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's more like creepy detail, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
But
fair.
as I said, it's just more people shitting on the DCEU.
Do you think he's a Marvel shill?
Wouldn't be surprised if it was you that wrote it, actually, to be honest.
Well, Stan Lee, Kevin Feige, and I the other day we got around and had a big meeting. Like, we've got to find something else to nail these DC guys on. That last Wonder Woman trailer looked awesome. I've got it. Wonder Woman's armpits.
Armpits.
Yeah. And they're like, Shaun, stop bringing up the armpits. You're always bringing up the armpits.
It's a fetish, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, over in the Marvel world, there was a very cool announcement that Sony has announced a Venom film for 2018.
Yes.
Now, this is quite surprising considering that they've got a target date already of the 5th of October next year. This was the spot where Aquaman was going to be in, but that's been pushed back to December. So, have they got enough time to get this film right?
Well, the question, yeah, absolutely. To make the film,
and how long have
anyway.
they been working on it?
And will they introduce the symbiote in a Spider-Man film, or are they just going to go straight to Venom? Because how does that fit into the logic? Unless the symbiote comes down in the Avengers, but I can't imagine that's going to happen.
But that's the thing. This is a Sony announced film. This isn't a Marvel Studios announced film. So there hasn't even been any talk if this is even related to the Spider-Man that we're going to be seeing in a couple months' time.
Yeah, but that would be cool. I mean, I guess they could just go straight to Venom, but you need Spider-Man to have Venom, don't you? I mean, he's got some of his powers from Spider-Man. I would love it if part of the deal, like planning ahead to have Spider-Man go to the Avengers, was that there was a little bit set aside for the he just picks up the symbiote in the Avengers. It makes sense. There's going to be a lot of flying around in space. Maybe he even uses the symbiote to help battle Thanos. That's awesome. And then goes back to his own universe and brings the symbiote with him. That could be cool.
That would be cool. But we're still waiting for confirmation as to whether you would think they wouldn't be so stupid to have a standalone Venom film that isn't related to everything else.
Well, you never know. They might have seen Logan and thought, oh, we can do that. What do we got? What else we got? Venom. All right, done. He's a bit of a badass.
Yeah, look, Sony has made some really bad ideas, but you would think that they wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, you'd think that.
Well, over at Fox, it's funny, like every week there seems to be a new front runner to play Cable in the new Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw that Brad Pitt was the front runner to be playing Cable.
That would never happen.
It would be fucking cool, though.
You know who'd be better than him? Adam Sandler.
I'm not falling for that trap again, because you will put a picture.
We should make a poll.
The front runner for Deadpool: Adam Sandler, Sean Pierce's pick, and Brad Pitt for yours. But today the new front runner is Michael Shannon, General Zod from Man of Steel.
He will find him. That could be good.
I think it could be really good, actually. He's a fantastic actor. I don't know if you ever saw a show called Boardwalk Empire. He was incredible in that. And I thought he was probably the best character in Man of Steel, to be honest, as General Zod. To see him, opposite Ryan Reynolds as Cable, I think that's a really cool choice if they can pull it off.
Yeah, his steely gaze would play very well with Ryan Reynolds' shtick.
But again, he probably seems a bit too young, in my opinion.
I guess Cable's a time traveler.
He is a time traveler, but he has got the old features. He's got the grey hair. There's no reason why they can't make Michael Shannon look like that. But I would have thought they would have gone for a more older actor. Yeah,
they've still got to go with Stephen Lang, I think. I mean, that's a no-brainer, surely.
That is going on looks, and if he could, play the similar role as what he did in Avatar, as you said, it's definitely a no-brainer for me.
Give the man a metal arm and get him in there. Maybe bulk him up a little bit.
All right. Well, over at Disney. They could not derail the Beauty and the Beast train this week. Not even the gay LeFou and not even the breasts of the leading actress could derail the juggernaut.
That probably helped it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, possibly. Could derail the juggernaut that was Beauty and the Beast this week. It opened in the US at $174 million, beating last year's March box office of Batman v Superman. And then it went on to make so far $428 million, and hasn't been out for a week yet. It is insane. So much so that it's actually beaten the entire gross of the original cartoon version of Beauty and the Beast.
And that's in its opening few days. That's insane.
Yeah, well, it's tipped to reach $500 million by the end of the week.
Yeah,
it's insane. Like we said it as soon as we saw the trailer that this was $1 billion film. Couldn't even go on to make more than that. It's ridiculous how much this. And the reviews weren't even that great. That's the more astonishing part. I think it's got like
mid-60s from Rotten Tomato.
Yeah, I think it's it's a great family film that you can take your kids to, and I don't think they could care less what all the critics said.
Well, my wife is seeing it tonight, and she is not a movie fan. So it will be a real testing point. If she likes it, then they've done something really special. But chances are that she won't like it.
Well, I'm actually surprised that you didn't go with her.
Oh, well, I've got to look after the baby.
Oh, yes, this is true.
Yeah.
So I would hate to be the film that's opening this week or even next week. I think the Power Rangers opens up in the US this week, so
It does, yeah.
it's going to be a struggle in my opinion. Because if you're going to take your family to one film, you're more than likely going to take it to Beauty and the Beast if they haven't already seen it.
Well, speaking of Power Rangers, apparently, I don't know if you've seen this news yet, there are 5 sequels already planned.
Jesus.
Yeah, so they're banking on this film.
They are banking on this film, and considering the budget blew out, nearly 3 times as what was originally predicted, you'd want to see some good return this weekend.
I've heard some good things, though. I've heard pretty much what we predicted, that it's naff, but it's enjoyable. So
yeah,
that's what I want.
The first 2 acts are just okay, but the third act, where obviously the Power Rangers go in full flight, is pretty astonishing.
I'm looking out for it.
Yeah,
Also,
so
did you
I'll
hear?
watch it next week?
Speaking with another link between these 2 films is they're both heavily featuring a gay character.
Yeah, I think the Yellow Ranger, who is a female, is gay as well. So, it's quite impressive that they are going down these roads in I wouldn't say children's films, but films that are targeted to young adults.
Yeah, and just mainstream pop culture, big blockbuster films. Is really great.
No, it is. It's super impressive.
Yeah.
Just shows that society is moving on and getting more used to the idea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say used to the idea, but it's a lot more acceptable. You don't have to hide and everything else, and you don't.
Yeah, it's just part of the story. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is very good. Were you a fan of Eddie Murphy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
His early work, especially in the 80s, was really quite remarkable, and it was the reason why he was at the top of the comedy game, in the 80s and early 90s. Well, this week comes talks that one of his best films and one of my favorite Eddie Murphy films, Coming to America, could actually have a sequel.
That's my wife. One of the few films that she actually really enjoys is Coming to America, which is really strange, but that would be awesome.
And it was one of the first films where he played multiple characters as well. Like we saw him do it later on with Norbert and Nutty Professor and everything else. But this was a real one where he, I think it was 5 different characters from memory. And it's still a great film, and it still holds up now, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty damn funny.
There haven't been any story details leaked. But I was quite actually excited to see, that this film could possibly have a sequel. Maybe Eddie Murphy has a son and he goes to America. I'm not sure, how heavily involved Eddie Murphy is in this film. Who knows? But anything that had that storyline will be quite welcomed, in my opinion.
I just want Eddie to have hits.
Yeah,
it's been a while. I mean, Shrek's been huge, but that's not really his vehicle, and he's just had a bad decade.
Yeah, he's had a really, really bad decade, to be honest.
Yeah.
In talking about kids' films, this one is quite good, actually. I like this one. Is that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing the new Dr. Doolittle.
Yes.
I couldn't think of a better actor to play this, to be honest.
Like, he's just so charming and interesting. I think he's kind of like the good Johnny Depp.
A more talented Johnny Depp?
A more talented Johnny Depp. Like, he can play that quirky, kind of interesting character, but it's not someone that makes your skin crawl or that makes you wince with cringe.
Yeah.
He's much more engaging.
No, I agree. And, the last time we saw Dr. Doolittle was with Eddie Murphy, and the first one wasn't too bad, and then the second one was just, a rush to cash in on the success of the first one. So, to see it get done again, I think it could work.
And the thing I like about this, it's going to be called The Voyage of Dr. Doolittle. So I'm kind of hoping it's about, because Dr. Doolittle traveled the world to all these exotic places and saw these amazing things, but we don't get that in the films that have been around so far. Even the old Rex Harrison one was just about him in London talking to the animals. So it'd be great to see him kind of
in the world that he lives in, rather than the adventures that he's gone on.
Exactly right. And it was always hinted at, so it'd be cool to kind of get that perspective. I think that could be awesome. And I really hope they don't do a modern version. I think that would be a mistake.
I reckon they probably will, to be honest.
I hope that would make me sad.
I actually severely doubt that it'll be an old timely one, but you never know.
What about a musical? You see Robert Downey Jr. in a musical?
No, I can't.
Iron Man the musical? You don't want that?
No, definitely don't want that.
Some heavy metal? All right, going on.
Well, speaking of which, actually, superhero musicals, they're actually doing, not that I watch the show anymore, I've just seen the trailer for it, but they're doing a musical episode of The Flash, I think either this week or next week, so that would be quite different.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah,
They're
Barry
weedening
might
it.
have a song, I fucked up the timeline again, I fucked up the timeline again.
Barry, you're singing too fast. Stay within the beat.
Last week we spoke about the Matrix reboot, and this week the writers have come out and said that it's basically not a reboot. It's just going to be a continuation. Now, they didn't go any further than that, but another rumor dropped that it could actually be a prequel that will focus on Morpheus and having Michael B. Jordan play the young Morpheus character.
That would be awesome. That would be amazing.
Because he hinted at it a lot, Morpheus, at about his previous adventures and, having met the architect previously and everything else.
Yeah.
So to actually see that would be pretty cool in my opinion.
Yeah. How he gets the Nebuchadnezzar and forms his crew. How he gets out of the Matrix in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, was he called like Neo, or did he actually find his way out?
Realistically, he could have his own trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and could be awesome.
Yeah, and Michael B. Jordan is the perfect actor to play him.
Yep. The only issue is there's no real drama because he's not going to die or anything like that. So that's the only worry. Man, there's so many great stories they could tell in that world. I do hope they keep coming back to it as long as the movies stay good.
Well, that's what we said last week. We said, rather than reboot it, why don't we just see continuation of story in this world? And hopefully it looks like that's what they're doing.
I mean, the Animatrix was the perfect example of the kinds of stories you could tell. If you could extend some of those out to full-length features, it doesn't have to be super long, like 90 minutes. Keep it short and sweet, but, really going in depth into some of these notions. Man, that is a movie universe I'd love to see explored.
Yeah. No, it was. I did enjoy the Animatrix, so that was, if they can continue that would be fantastic. Now, last year, there was this story that we spoke about it on our previous podcast, and that was the Men in Black crossover with 21 Jump Street. Barry Sonnenfeld, who was the director of the 3 Men in Black films, came out this week and said that he wishes that there was a 4th film, but it is highly unlikely that either himself or Will Smith would be involved.
Yeah, well, that's kind of fair enough. I think Smith's getting it on a little bit, and it's been a few years.
Yeah, and they just said the cost would just be phenomenal when you got to pay the likes of Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, Jonah Hill, and Channing Tatum. He goes, the players of this film are just way too big, and he severely doubts that it will happen.
Yeah, if you're going to do Men in Black, it'll have to be a reboot, I can imagine, just for that reason alone.
Yeah, they would have to go with new agents.
And Will Smith is, he's picky these days. He's not doing no reboots for the sake of reboots, a la Independence Day. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to nail him down.
Well, you would think that he'd do sequels and everything else to a Suicide Squad. Or his own
I think he's doing that.
Deadshot.
Yeah, and also I think the paycheck is there for him.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of the Suicide Squad, I actually saw a member of the Suicide Squad today. I work at the airport, and I was working on a job, and all of a sudden I see this guy in this big, fucking ridiculous hat. And I look at him closely, and it was Jai Courtney, Captain Boomerang himself.
I'm really impressed that you recognize him.
Yeah, well, I do keep an eye out because you do see a lot of people at the airport. But this was the first one.
You also run jaicourtneynudes.blog.com.
So this was the first one that was actually of any mention that I've actually spoken about. And I was so tempted to ask him for a photo. But I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be one of those douchebags. But then I'm like, it's a fucking member of the Suicide Squad. When you're never going to get to see this guy again. And not only that, he's been in a Die Hard film. He's been in Terminator film. And I was just like, oh, shouldn't I? I'm like, fucking no.
You just put this image of you just cowering in the corner as he just like strolls past you.
Yeah, well, as I said, like I saw him initially, and then I walked through security. Then I saw him again. I'm like, shouldn't I? I'm like, no. And then I went and did my job, and I'm like, fuck it. If I see it again, I'll ask him. But I didn't see him again.
No. You know what though? What you don't realize is that he was there going, who's that guy over there? Should I go and talk to him? No, he'll think I'm a douchebag.
Is that guy from the movie podcast?
Yeah.
I think I remember that voice.
Oh my god, it's so soothing.
But I'm like, I could ask him if there's any development on Suicide Squad 2. Are you going to be in the new Flash film? Is Mel
Could have had
Gibson
an
going to
exclusive.
direct? I could have got an exclusive and I pussied out. So,
But you know what it would be? You would have gone and asking these questions and it'd be like, all right, tonight we've got an exclusive from Jai Courtney. He says, go fuck yourself. All right, that was his exclusive word to me.
but he was with his girlfriend, so I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna be one of those guys.
Well, Jai, if you're listening, just know that Sean Pierce didn't want to ruin your day, so
Yeah,
you owe him
I
a
did the
burger or
right
something.
thing and stayed away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one of his DCEU co-actors is actually going to be in the new Mission Impossible 6 film, and that's Henry Cavill. Now, I lost interest in, I think, Mission Impossible Part 4, I think it was.
Yeah.
So this news doesn't really excite me that much.
Yeah, no, it's not that exciting. Apparently, Tom Cruise has been rehearsing a stunt for this movie for over a year,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of interesting, but that also could just be, just making stuff up for the sake of, because, his stunt from the last film, hanging off the plane, got so much free press, they could just be trying to bank on that.
Yeah, that was super impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But look, yeah, I'm not super keen.
Well, I'm actually quite surprised because he was signed on for a couple films with Warner Brothers, and the Mission Impossible films are done by Paramount. So whether they've kind of lost interest in him, I'm not sure, because his last film absolutely stunk it up at the box office,
Yeah.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So whether they're not in the Henry Cavill camp anymore, I don't know.
It's a real shame because that guy, he's good,
Henry Cavill.
and Superman has hurt him.
Well, what have you seen him in before this? I know he was in, wasn't he in The Tudors, I think it was?
The Tudors.
Yeah, The Tudors. I think he was in that.
Yeah. To be honest, I just like him as Superman.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't like his Superman, but I like him as Superman.
Yeah.
But and I just want him to have a career. I want him to succeed. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No, it doesn't. Well, unless this one's a hit, who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know how this even came on our run sheet, but it's leading into our segment, I guess. But Mariah Carey's Christmas song, "All I Want for Christmas Is You,"
The most successful song of all time.
Christmas song or song in general?
Song.
Now,
of all time.
Now I know how it made into our rundown list.
Yeah. Which version do you want me to play? I've got them all right here.
No, you can don't do any. It's fine.
Reggae hip hop.
No,
All
it's
right,
fine.
let's do it. Okay.
Well, that's being turned into a CG animated film for Universal Pictures.
And it'll make a lot of money.
Yeah, more than likely it'll be coming out next year.
Can-
But
A Christmas movie animated starring Mariah Carey featuring her song, man, that's going to bring them the bank.
well, at least you won't have to use your daughter as an excuse, because you'll just go and watch it anyway. But your daughter will be the right age by then.
Yeah, she will actually. Oh my God, you know what? That's going to be her Frozen. I'm going to be listening to that song. All jokes aside, I didn't even think this through. All right, we're shutting down cinemas for the next 2 years.
She probably, or you probably already do play this song to death every year, so
She's like, even in the word, she was like, "Stop it." Yeah.
Well, that got us thinking. What are some songs that would make great films? Now, did you actually pick any?
Yeah. I've got the cream of the crop right here.
All right, well, hit us with one of them then.
All right, number one. Now this might be cheating a little bit, but I thought of the song is "House of the Rising Sun,"
Oh yeah.
and I've always thought. I mean, it's a great narrative anyway, and I know it's about rehab and stuff like that. But for the longest time, I always thought this movie was about vampires. And about how they go to this place and like everyone, because it talks about people being old and stuff there. I thought, it's this place full of vampires, and they're all really kind of sad and morose. And then I saw From Dusk Till Dawn, and I thought that could not the same kind of zane as Dusk Till Dawn, but this idea of these vampires stuck out in the middle of nowhere, just living off these old memories. You could make this really kind of deep. I don't know how deep it would be, but this kind of morose reflection on life through the eyes of these stranded vampires. That could be cool.
Yeah, that could be
House
cool.
of the Rising Sun. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave.
That was Hotel California, but
That's what I meant. The whole time I meant Hotel California.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, Yeah, well, you kind of talk about two songs now, so
Yeah. I'm hip. I'm down with it. I'm down with
yeah,
7-year-old songs. But that's what I meant. Hotel California.
clearly that's why we don't have a music podcast.
All right, moving on.
All right, well, I'm going to go with a Bruce Springsteen song. Now, his songs are very lyrical, and his songs have a lot of meaning. And one of my favorites is a song called "Glory Days," and it's basically about a guy who kind of hasn't really hit his straps, and he's a young
Yeah.
adult, and he keeps referring back to his glory days. And he meets a friend in a bar, and they talk about he was a baseball pitcher, and they talk about how good he was, and he too never really hit the heights that he thought he would coming out of high school. And then he has a friend, a female friend, who was a high school sweetheart, and she's separated from her husband, and she reflects on her glory days as well. So it's a really good story about even though you might be hitting your straps in high school, it's not necessarily going to carry on into your adult life per se. So it's a good reflection movie in my opinion.
Is this biographical? Is that where this is going?
It could be. It could be.
Well, mine is biographical too. You didn't know that I used to be a vampire in the desert.
So as I said, I went from studying filmmaking as a young man to talking on a podcast about film. So
I think you've gone up in the world personally.
yeah, well, film directors make millions of dollars. I make nothing from this. So yeah, it's working out really well in my opinion.
You made friendship.
Yeah, that's true. I've made fans.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Do you have a cast in mind or anything like that?
No, I didn't think that far ahead. I just like the song.
It's a great song.
Yes.
All right, my number 2. You ready for this?
Yes.
Another kind of folky hit. Boy Named Sue, Johnny Cash.
Okay, have you got the right title this time?
Yes, I do have the
All right,
right
cool.
title.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I meant Happy Birthday. Oh, God, I keep getting those mixed up. No, Boy Named Sue.
Okay.
You know the song?
No, I don't actually.
It's about basically a father who's a deadbeat jerk. He decides he's no good for his family. He's going to leave. His son's just been born, so he names him Sue, and he leaves him. And the song's about the boy trying to find his father because he's a drop kick, and he's angry because he named him Sue because it's just giving him grief his whole life. And he finally tracks his father down. He's going to beat the shit out of him, and his father basically says, "I named you Sue because I wasn't going to be there, but you need to learn how to be a man. So you'd get in a lot of fights with that name, and it would cause a lot of grief for you, but it'd make you stronger as a person." So it's kind of this, weird, bizarre way to say that, I loved you in the best way that I knew how.
Yeah.
So I think a cool sort of father-son bonding film where they're both imperfect people could be kind of awesome.
I like it. I'll have to go out and listen to it. You sold it really
make
well.
it. Well, I told you the twists, but that's all right.
Yeah, well, you kind of ruined it, but it's fine. should have had a spoiler alert at the front of that, but
Just imagine all of that with Johnny Cash's, dulcet tones.
sounds good. All right, well, my number 2 is I was a massive fan and still am of David Bowie, and the story of David Bowie. He created this character named Ziggy Stardust, and which obviously he had his own song as well called Ziggy Stardust. And I would love to see a film about not necessarily just that character, but David Bowie's creation of that character and where the inspiration came from. And this was a man who who was quite comfortable with his sexuality. He liked both men and women, and that kind of was portrayed not in the forefront of the Ziggy Stardust persona and songs, but it was definitely there, hinted at in the background. So I would have loved to have seen him with those struggles in the 60s and 70s, and I think that would make a great film.
Yeah, and there's a whole story within the Ziggy Stardust of the band sort of
that's right,
getting jealous of the lead and falling apart and that kind of thing. That could be awesome.
As I said, David, I listened to his autobiography not long ago, and he left a fascinating life. To have, this is just a certain chapter of that film in David Bowie's life would be very cool to see.
Do you think, sincerely, he's disappointed in his son for making Warcraft?
Well, luckily he died after it got released, so...
Oh my God, Duncan Jones killed him with this terrible movie.
He did see the film before it was released, so at least he didn't have to hear and read all the negative press about it.
Poor David Bowie. Poor Duncan Jones.
Yeah, poor
All
Duncan
right.
Jones.
My number one,
Your
Stan,
number one.
Eminem.
Ah, yeah.
Straight up. Cool
Yeah.
story about. I don't know how you would frame it. Maybe from the Eminem's perspective, or the star that the psycho is writing to. Maybe instead of kidnapping his wife and putting her in the boot, he kidnaps the star, or he kidnaps the star. Like it takes place after Stan. He drives his car off into the water. His wife dies in the boot, but he survives, and then he tracks down the hero, and the two have a face off or something like that. That could be cool.
Well, I personally think that it can be told from both sides of the story. You can have, the story just keep interlocking with each other. And maybe they just keep having these near misses of him actually replying, or him showing an interest in this guy, and then maybe like a sliding doors moment. If he had have met, maybe he wouldn't have he killed his wife. Maybe.
Okay, this movie's just changed. It takes place over two realities: one where he responds, and one where he doesn't. And in one, he's like a happy family man. The other one, he's murdering his wife in the back of his car.
Correct.
That's okay. I want to see that movie. And Gwyneth Paltrow will still star.
Perfect.
She can play Eminem.
The wife.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe she can do Eddie Murphy and play all characters.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe she could play Eminem as well. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's everything.
All right. Well, my number one is probably the greatest song of all time, and that is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, good choice.
There is a fantastic story in this, and it's about a man who kills a man, and then he is telling this story to his mother, and he's asking for forgiveness, and then he fronts a court and he's asking for forgiveness from them, and they say no, and then he doesn't even know if he actually did it or not. So it could be this fantastic psychological thriller, maybe.
Oh, really? I thought he knew that he did it.
No, I think he's tossing back and forth whether he actually did do it or not, because he thinks he's innocent, but everyone else thinks he's guilty.
Doesn't he say just killed a man?
Yeah, Mama, I just killed the man. Put a gun against his head, pulled the trigger, now he's dead. But he still doesn't think he's guilty. So, you got that conflict there.
Maybe he did it for the right reasons.
Correct. So, there's stories within stories of all those verses, and, I think it could work.
And does he take a trip to hell and visit the devil?
Possibly, yeah.
That could be cool. Like he's a second trial in hell, and he has to convince the devil that he's legit.
Yeah, that could work.
Like Jason Goes to Hell, but better.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably nothing like that, yeah.
All right, well, this week I saw the new release of, it's called Life, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. And,
I really want to see this movie.
Yeah, it is. I saw it today. I was tossing up between this or the Power Rangers, and I went with this one. Basically, in a nutshell, it's basically Gravity meets Alien, and although it is quite enjoyable, I wouldn't necessarily rush out to see this film. I would wait till it's a Sunday afternoon, you see it on Netflix, and it'll kill an hour and a half of your time, in my opinion.
Well, that's interesting because the cast is so stacked. So you would have thought they would have nailed it with the scripting and stuff, but you're saying no.
Look, it's as I said, it's nothing
it's
you
enjoyable.
haven't seen before. It's basically the plot of Gravity and the plot of Alien mashed into one. So it's nothing that we haven't seen. It's visually, not as good as Gravity was per se. The story is okay. The alien in it is fucking super intelligent that I'm like, you got to be shitting me. But
okay.
Either way, as I said, it's something, it's enjoyable, but nothing you want to go rush out and see.
That's good. Well, maybe we'll make some time for Transformers, Power Rangers before next week.
Yeah, I think we'll do a joint review of the Power Rangers next week.
Cool.
All right, well, that wraps up this episode of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week until next week.
That's such a silly story. Wonder Woman's armpits? Alright, cool.